No, 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 I mumbled as I tried my best to kick and punch. I tried to bite the fingers that held my head down, but all in vain. Then it got a lot worse. The bright white scar began to darken. Something gelatinous was moving out of it. Imagine a dark purple pus pouring out of a wound of burning white light. I felt it more than I saw it. It gathered up on the floor like a great puddle of ooze and began to crawl slowly towards me. It was covered in strange, thick hairs. It reminded me of how a starfish eats by everting its stomach. I trembled with terror as it pulsated, reaching my legs. Its tentacles extended towards my nose and mouth. Then I felt something pull deep inside my mind. It reminded me of what Lucy could do, but it was so much stronger, more visceral. I yelled in pain as I felt the ooze tug hard at my very mind. Out of nowhere, I heard a yell. But it wasn't me or the monsters. It had come from the white scar. A pair of very human hands suddenly extended out of the sticky white wound with great effort. They were semi-transparent, almost blue. Then arms appeared, followed shortly by a head and naked torso of the person I knew as Justin. "I'm gonna fucking end you, you jelly fuck," he screamed as he squeezed himself from the hole of light. I felt the pull on my mind disappear. The ooze stopped in its tracks and suddenly leapt at Justin with unbelievable agility. But he was ready. He plunged his fists into the ooze as he leapt to the floor. I heard the shrill screech of a million insects. I winced with pain. It was worse than 1,000 nails on a chalkboard. Imagine an Aztec death rattle on steroids. After the shock of the eldritch noise died away, I realized Justin's essence had hurt that collective mind somehow. I saw his naked spirit run across the floor toward his body, which kneeled at my head. No. I heard the collective mind of the ooze scream out. But Justin was too fast. He had already leapt forward and soared directly into his possessed body. Justin's head snapped back. A thick purple smoke bubbled from his mouth. He was shaking violently. His vice grip vanished. I immediately craned my neck up to see all the others were also seizing. Saliva and purple goo leaked from their every orifice. They shook and gagged. They let go of me. I could move my arms. I grimaced with effort as I pulled with all my strength. I felt something tear. At first, I feared I'd torn my own arm off, but I realized they'd tie me down with a silk fabric they'd nailed into the floor. I hadn't pulled the nail out. Instead, the fabric had torn. I used my free hand to untie my other. Soon my feet were untied too. I stood up way too fast and almost fell over from dizziness. I was still high as fuck, but I didn't hesitate. I ran as fast as I could toward the bedroom door. I grabbed the handle to rip it open. It didn't budge. It was locked. My head swiveled around. They were all still seizing, now lying on the floor. That ooze was retreating back into the white scar. Fuck. What should I do? Help them? Or leap out the fucking window? I cursed again loudly as I ran over to Justin. I rolled him onto his side. The purple goo was gone now. Those weird instruments grew fainter. Suddenly, with the rushing sound of a gale, the bright white scar vanished. The candles went out immediately and dropped to the ground. The room suddenly was very silent, smoky, and still. As my eyes burnt from the candle smoke, I looked down at Justin and the others. They were now lying completely still. I checked each of them for a pulse. Only Justin was still alive. I managed to use Justin's phone to call the authorities. In 20 minutes, firemen arrived. They had to break down the door with an axe. The police were more than confused at the tableau they found before them. They saw me, dressed up as Spider-Man, cradling Justin's unconscious body. The others lay sprawled around me. They had no visible wounds or bruises or blood. It was as if they had all simply dropped dead from nothing. By the time the paramedics were checking on me, my high was tapering off. I felt confused. My head fuzzy. I was in shock and my eyes stared off into nothing. I'm not sure how, but I ended up in a small, brightly lit room at the nearest police station. They tried to question me. All I would say was, I want a lawyer. I had to wait for hours before my parents arrived. I remember having tears in my eyes. It was then I noticed it. My telepathy was still enhanced. I could hear the thoughts of everyone at the precinct. I could hear the thoughts of my parents. They were so worried. They were so anxious. They had been so afraid. Afraid I had died. The thoughts of everyone around me came to me more easily than they had ever before. It made it quite difficult to concentrate on what I wanted to say. It took me a long time to make myself understood. I kept stammering. I told him about how I'd been hanging out with Justin, Desmond, Eleanor, Lucy, and Marcus. How we got along very well from the start. They'd been so welcoming and non-judgmental. Then we took that weird shroomy. They must have spiked mine. I told them they'd tie me down and were chanting. That they'd all suddenly started having seizures. Of course, I couldn't tell the police the whole truth. By reading their minds, I worked out Justin had suffered what the medical examiner said was a kind of stroke never seen before. At the same time, I learned what happened to the others. My stomach dropped and I nearly puked. It was disgusting and horrifying. The autopsy revealed their brains had all been liquefied. The coroner was perplexed. He'd never seen this before. I don't think I'll ever recover psychologically from this experience. I miss my friends every day. I had never in my life known people like me. I never had anyone with whom I had felt so close. I can't sleep. Are they still there? In that place? I shiver and retch at the very thought. It's January. The months have crawled by slowly. I'm still in Edinburgh, despite every fiber of my being screaming at me to get away. I could never abandon the one friend who lives. Justin is still in a coma. I've visited him often at the Western General Hospital. I reach for his mind. It may be distant, but at least it's human again. I can hear it like a voice down a dark tunnel. I can hear him call out for me. I can just make out his memories. One Halloween night 3 years ago, Justin had reached out to the dead. He'd taken shrooms to strengthen his powers. He'd reached too far. He'd interfaced with something else. It had latched onto him. It had taken him first. Showed him the 2 rituals. One for May Eve and one for All Hallows Eve. Then it used him to find and absorb the others. I'm guessing his unique psychic power was also the reason he was the sole survivor. The only mind to ever break free from that hell, perhaps? Who knows? My abilities are far more sensitive now. I hear everyone's thoughts from miles away. I hear the voices of all things. Dogs, cats, squirrels, everything. I even hear the voices of things beyond our world. I hear the horrendous, scratchy voices of many-eyed, multi-mouthed flying monstrosities, of giant celestial intellects outside time. Not evil, just alien, completely without care for what it means to be human. I could hear them. Goosebumps rippled up my arms. Now they hear me too. He listens. Yes, yes. Take him. Stop him. I hear their raspy thoughts whisper. I tremble from despair. They were going to get into our world again. I just know it. They're coming for us all. I will not join that legion of minds trapped in that sticky white intestine. I need to wake up Justin somehow. He started talking in his sleep. His thoughts are solidifying. He's getting closer to waking every day, but we're running out of time. I need to reach him now. If I could find out more about how he fought that entity. I need his help. In the meantime, I sleep little, and the minds of monsters haunt my every waking minute. They know what I'm planning. They're trying to stop me. I hear those alien intelligences whisper in my ear, no, stop, no, just give in. It is futile. You should be with us. Leave Justin be. Stop fighting. I can't block the voices like I could before. My hats and beanies are useless. If I don't stop them soon, I will go insane. I will stop this. I have to. Or at least I will die trying.